All right, well, welcome everybody. Today's January 2nd. Yesterday was New Year's Day. So here we are. We're starting off right away, getting right at it. It is the IC Topic Chats. We are doing the New Year, New You, or the Why Become an Independent Consultant session. And can I get a thumbs up that you guys are seeing my screen? Very good. Thanks, Christiana and Scott. So the point of today is to talk about why we'd like to become an independent consulting. And I'm having an interesting situation today where I can't hear a thing from anybody. I'm on my second computer and none of it's working, but apparently everybody hears me. So this is wonderful. So I'm presenting like in the old time days. When I first started the independent consulting topic chats, we started it because we weren't able to chat. But before that, I would just present so effectively. It felt like an empty room. Well, people were there, but I couldn't even see them, let alone know if they were paying attention. That was when we used to have an e-study through AEA. And that's why we started the IC Topic Chats. But here we are, everything old is new again. Kind of ironic for the first session of the year. For a lot of us, we start off by going, can I do this? Should I be able to do it? And anybody who's live right now, I just sent a link to a Google document. That's what we call the Moxie scale. It's a scale that's just kind of a reflective instrument, really, to sit and think about whether this is something that I can do. And so today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why be an independent consultant, why we think about it, why it's appealing, or perhaps why it's not a good idea, and what are some of those worries. So let's just get started. Who are our new consultants? So back about 9.5 years ago, I did a survey in 2015 with the Independent Consulting TIG. I was the TIG chair back at that time. And we looked at those people who were brand new to the consulting, to the TIG. And there were 17 people who responded. 82% of those people were women. These are people who were brand new. They were in their first 4 years of practice, who were 100% focused. So 45% were PhDs. It's an important point here. People say, do I need a PhD to do this? The answer is, well, less than half of us have PhDs. So the answer is no, not necessarily. I will tell you the other 55% all had master's degrees. And it's a pretty rare circumstance where you see people who have an undergraduate, only their last degree is an undergraduate degree, like a Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Arts. Typically, people do have master's degrees. Do you need a master's degree? No, you do not. In fact, Kylie Hutchinson is a great example of somebody who has never completed a master's degree, but she's written books and she's very successful. And she has an independent consulting practice, and we all look up to her. But typically, it is people with master's degree or PhDs. And whether we like it or not, our clients often do like the idea of having us and knowing that we have advanced degrees. But anyway, the answer is you do not need a PhD to do this work. People who are brand new to the consulting practice, the idea, are typically between 33 and 55 years old. That's not representative of people who are independent consultants. A lot of us, I'm still in that age group, but there's a lot of us who are older than that. And so you don't feel like you couldn't possibly do that. That is the 25th and 75th percentiles there. So why do people choose to go and become an independent consultant? Number one reason is they want that, well, the I of independent consultant. They like that independence. I decided it was time to work for myself, to do it how I want to do it. I want to work when I want to work. I want to work with who I want to work. I want to do it however I feel like doing it. I don't like taking direction from others. They want flexibility. They like that idea of being able to pursue interesting work. That's kind of the independence piece too. And honestly, a lot of us like doing this because we want to be in control of our own finances. We felt like we're being ripped off by others, and that you may not be getting paid well enough. I want to work fewer hours. I want to get paid better per hour. I want to choose my own projects. On the other side of the things, what do people worry about who are independent consultants? They worry about the uncertainty, wondering where the next project is going to come from, particularly in the early days. A lot of us go through this. It's a very common thing. Related to uncertainty, which is not listed here, is imposter syndrome. People feeling like I don't really belong here, like I'm pretending like I'm an independent consultant. We have had an entire session on IC Topic Chats about the imposter syndrome, and I'm here to tell you that it never goes away. You just get used to it. And actually, a lot of these worries you just get used to. The reality is, we oftentimes find we have too much work, particularly if we've priced ourselves too low and people say, hey, this is a great opportunity to work with this consulting firm or this consultant. And so we take on more than we can handle. So here's two quotes. In fact, here's one I was doing some background research on a survey that was done 2 years ago. This is one that I thought was really interesting. I'm 79. I want to work part-time. I'm trying to work part-time, but I could work full-time plus. So that often happens. And then marketing and soft skills. How do I go about doing this marketing? How do I get out there and talk to people? How do I encourage people to hire me? How do I do that kind of soft thing of going out and shaking hands and convincing people? So that's a lot of worry. In fact, a lot of the things that people worry about have become the topics or the core topics, like today for the independent consulting topic chats, the IC topic chats. So we have a session every month. This is a core topic, why become an independent consultant. But a lot of these things are things that we think about. Here's one of my favorite graphics. This is one that gave me confidence. Gail Barrington, who used to do the intro to consulting workshops, she shared her version of this. And then when I went to go look at this, we made sure that we were asking these questions for the surveys. So you'll see the revenue over time. In the first 4 years, this is total revenue. This is including the revenue that you need to cover your expenses to do your consulting practice. This isn't profit, right? But on median, not average, on median over time, you'll see in the first 4 years, people are generating about 83,000. But the good news is it goes up from there. Can I get a quick thumbs up that you guys are still hearing me? I'm getting lots of good. Thanks, Christiana. Very nice. My machine continues to tell me I have no all kinds of auditory issues. Man, we got to start off on the way we're going to start off today. Anyway, revenue over time. I love this. And I got to tell you, these are people who are independent one-person operations. We pulled out all those people with larger firms. Now, when you look at people with larger firms, you can see that we took the survey and we were looking at percentile gross revenue by years. So there was an individual who completed the survey who was in their first 4 years who generated $1 million, right, per year, or thereabouts. So these are people who we included people who have employees and subcontractors in this graphic here. I think what's interesting here, and I love to do this, I like to highlight the median. So this is what you saw in the last graphic, but it's important to also look at the sides, the middle, the 25th and the 75th percentile. So this is kind of where you expect to be if you're starting off an independent consulting practice. It goes up, and it can go up. The sky can be pretty high, I think. 5 to 9 years, 10 to 14 years, you can see people are making $1-2+ million in total revenue. Again, that has to cover all your expenses. We have a firm now, my firm, Goshen Consulting, has, depending on how you look at it, about 12.5, 13 FTE, full-time equivalents. And, we generate more, we have to generate more than $1 million a year just for employees, just for our payroll. So the revenue may look really appealing, but you have to realize that there's a lot of expenses that come along with a firm that grows. All right, this is my top 10. This is done David Letterman style. where we start at top 10. Why would you want to become an independent consultant? And then after we're done, we're going to spend some time and the group will talk. Hopefully, hypothetically, I'll be able to I'll be able to hear you guys. I'll get in on it. But the number 10 reason why you may want to become an independent consultant is that you want to be your own boss. Now, this is Maxwell Smart, our dog at home, looking very cute as he does. A lot of us just want to start off, and this for me was I wanted to control my own future. And so that's why I started an independent consulting practice with my partner. And it continued to grow. And so we get the opportunity to think about our own vision. We get to live our own values, which I think these are going to be coming down the road here in a couple of the top 10 in a little bit. A lot of us, we want to work less. We want the flexibility to perhaps we want to take a step back from the amount of work that we're doing before. Maybe working less also means you want to work from home. You want to work. You can work. You don't have that commute to whatever that city is where you got to go into your job. So that's one of the reasons why people start independent consulting practices. Perhaps you want to work where you want. Now, this was taken 4 years ago. My father was sick and he passed away 4 years ago. And so I decided to get up, and he lived in Mexico. And so my sister and I, we went to Mexico and we spent a couple of weeks with him about a month before he passed away. And that was fine. I didn't have to check in with anybody. I just said, I'm going to Mexico, everybody. And I went and did it. And that's one of the awesome things about owning your own independent consulting practice, particularly if you set yourself up where you don't need to be physically anywhere. You could work in a van that continues to move you could live the van life, hashtag van life. But for me, it gave me the opportunity to just go where I needed to. And I went to Mexico and I worked from Mexico for 2 weeks where my father lived. Work when you want. So here's my daughter, Madeline. She was in 4th grade in this picture. But her school building, she's now a freshman in high school. Her school building is literally a block and a half from where I'm sitting right now. So I would get up at lunchtime on Tuesdays and I would go have lunch with her. And that was an amazing thing to be able to do. I could set my own schedule. Number 6 reason is to make more money. This is a trophy that I received after completing a marathon in each of the 50 states. And as you can imagine, traveling to each of the 50 states and registrations for races and hotels and flights are expensive. And so I wouldn't have been able to do that kind of crazy challenge unless I'd had the extra revenue that comes along with owning a consulting practice. 5th reason, counting down, identify and living your principles. Here are principles. This is back to I want to be my own boss. Part of that is we as a ownership, my partner and I identified new principles 2 years ago. You'll see our vision and our mission for Goshen Consulting. And so this is how we've decided to live. And there are things in here of our values that, I think may be challenged with the new coming administration, but that's who we are. And we chose to do that. We believe in social justice. And so it's an amazing thing to be able to just say, this is who we're going to be, regardless of what happens. And I think that we believe our clients, and we believe that there will continue to be work that will be generated because of who we believe who we are and how we want to live our lives and how we want to continue to support our consulting practice. Number 4 reason is to learn new skills. And you can see here's a list of different associations, including the American Evaluation Association, EASL, an association that I helped found, AIR, the Association for Institutional Research. Next one is to create job security. I know this sounds crazy. People say, how do you believe you have job security if you go to work if you start your own firm? Because in many ways, now everything's relying on you. Well, I believe I separate out all the risk by having several different clients. So we started with Cahokia, and then I worked with SIU Edwardsville, with Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville, which is the university in my town where I live. But then things started to come together. We worked with O'Fallon Township High School, and all these things related to one another. And now you can see, and this is a couple of years old, but these are all our current clients. Plus, we currently have 68 projects with 44 clients. And that's spread out the risk for everybody, because we are able to, if one client decides to go belly up or something happens to that, we should be able to mitigate that risk by having other projects. So we have job security. In fact, I think we have better job security than most because we're able to have all those projects. You have the opportunity to contribute to the things that you believe in. And so here's some of the nonprofits that we've supported over the years. Number one reason is the opportunity to succeed. So STEM Camp is a nonprofit that we've started, and Kurt knows about it because he was on our evaluation board for a couple of years. The STEM Camp is kind of one of those big ideas. They call it a BHAG in some of the books that I've read, a big, hairy, audacious goal. We wrote this grant that we didn't think would get funded for $1 million a year, and it gave us the opportunity to go out and do work with school districts in military connected communities with children who didn't have an opportunity to have a STEM summer camp. So STEM Camp stands for STEM for kids of active military personnel. And STEM Camp gave Goshen Consulting the opportunity to leap into growing, and we were which was at the right time, because in 2020 we had a pandemic, a lot of you guys remember. But what happened after that was there was a lot of funding that went into educational initiatives which needed program evaluation, and we were in the right place at the right time. We were able to leverage STEM Camp because we had more revenue for our consulting practice, and one thing led to another. But importantly, this is the opportunity to fail. And I know that sounds like a terrible thing to say when I'm trying to encourage you to think about starting an independent consulting practice, but it is through failure that we learn who we are and what we're able to do. And you're going to fail. And if you choose not to go into an independent consulting practice, you will still fail. Why not fail in something that you believe in, that motivates you, that gives you the opportunity to do the other 10 things that I just talked about? And so that's motivated me to continue to invest in, the firm that we started, Goshen Consulting. So I guess how I'd like to end, and actually after we stop the recording, is to ask everybody what would be on your top 10 list. And we'll do that as part of the chat conversation, and we can allow people, particularly those new folks who've come along, to ask their questions. But that's how this works with the independent consulting topic chats. We'll stop the recording, and the people who are here live will just sit and chat about all these things. But I do want to point out, we have these other upcoming sessions. Next week, I'm going to do kind of a reflective session on what independent consulting means individually to me, talk about Stoic philosophy and what success means. Shari Smith's going to be talking about writing a book. You can see what else is here. February 20th is an important session. A lot of people ask me about this, and it's a very popular session. We call it the Subcontracting Fair. It's a 2-hour session. It might be a 90-minute session. It depends on how this goes, but it's the opportunity for everybody to introduce themselves to one another. We record it, and it's a way for people to connect. And so what you've seen is some people reflecting in the chat on who they are, and a lot of people show up to these IC topic chats for the opportunity to connect with one another. And I use the private chat function. You'll see that. If you see somebody that's interesting, you want to reach out to them. But anyway, the Subcontracting Fair is a specific session where people can introduce themselves, and it becomes a kind of a networking opportunity. So with that, I'm going to conclude this. Kristen, go ahead and stop the recording, and we'll try and chat